And we're live with some One Piece.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. We are! We are ninja.
Oh my god.
Name that show.
What a horror. So Joe was doing One Piece, and Bradley's doing Ask a Ninja, and also Cowboy Bebop. What an awful intro. Let me
It's
let,
iconic, man.
let me create some dead air so I could just randomly cut that out. Perfect. There we go.
No!
Now we can start for real. Hi, I'm here with Bradley and Joe.
I'm Joe.
And I'm not Bradley, so you can use process of elimination to
You
figure
can figure it out.
which give you a little bit of homework.
This week's roundabout puzzle to solve at home with friends. Who's Bradley?
Make sure to print out the print sheet so you can get some good clues. There'll be a link in the comments.
Yeah, and the coloring page.
The answer will be found in the last page upside down. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we're doing Dressrosa. Don't expect many visuals on the screen because our channel's been taken down twice now. So we're trying to lay low. If y'all need to see something, it'll pop up, but chances are you're just going to be listening to some voices today.
Lame.
When we left off in Dressrosa, and Bradley, we might hit the point at which you're caught up to, so you're gonna have to remember where you were if we do hit
It's
there.
possible. I'm gonna find out precisely where I was.
I think we'll be good, but I do wanna pick up the pace a little bit. We're about half. I think we did 2/5 of Dressrosa, which is not bad for how big it is. But let's get it moving, because the next scene, I think the next few scenes is what I would consider something that kicks off the better part of Dressrosa, which is the second half. It's already been good, but since this Usopp sugar stuff really picks up. So
I think in a previous installment, I was like, "This is the God Usopp is a better version of the Bucky gag," which
yes.
I already liked, and it's just a better version of it.
Yeah, it really is. So we open up here with something I wanted to point out, which is Robin. She comes in here and she creates a diversion for Usopp to get in to be able to end Sugar's life. And I just want to bring this up because Robin, as a character that doesn't end up getting many fights, I feel like a lot of her accomplishments and feats are overlooked. And really, throughout this arc, Robin plays a huge support role in multiple scenes, and I would just want to bring that up because I feel like when people forget that Straw Hats do certain things in the post time skip because there's more characters, so they're like, Robin hasn't done anything in 400 chapters. That's not true.
Yeah, she provides a lot of this auxiliary support, and the thing is, the Straw Hats have many people who can hit really, really hard.
True.
But there are things that literally only Robin can do.
Yeah.
Who else can spawn an ear in a room several floors away to listen in on a conversation,
And another cool thing is that, remember, she worked multiple years as a shady, not a spy, but spy assassin-esque. So her being able to blend into a situation and fool people just feels like a nice throwback to her previous skill sets. This portion of the story focuses a lot on Sugar. Bradley, how you feel about Sugar as a character, or as an antagonistic force even?
It's, on one hand, she does, power-wise, I don't know if I'd say she's OP, because, how easy is it really for her to, turn someone into a toy? It seems like it takes very little effort, right?
Yeah, because, she turns a bunch of Tontatas here into toys. Half of their forces pretty much gets turned into toys very quickly as she just quickly touches them all.
But as a character, I do think she's kind of cool because I like the contrast between she's adorable, but she thinks everything is stupid.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
and I like how she doesn't like to be underestimated.
yeah.
And she's got a great design, but as an antagonistic force, I like how Doflamingo's operation is almost entirely built on Sugar's abilities.
Yeah, it's pretty shaky. If you take out this one thing, it's all fucked.
It's like Doflamingo's contingency plan to Sugar getting taken down is genocide.
Yeah, like if that's the only alternative, it's pretty shaky.
Right, so she turns a bunch of Tontatas into toys, which leads to like a heartbreaking fight between them because they don't know who's who.
They don't remember. They don't realize they got turned into toys. They just think they're toy enemies.
Yeah, exactly, which is a very cruel part of her power. While this Usopp thing is setting up, and I really like how Oda did this, where he's building up this Usopp fight with Sugar, but he's also starting to reveal a little bit of the Toy Soldier flashback, so you get these harsh words from Rebecca that just calls the best character in the arc a one-legged toy. I'm like, damn, Rebecca. You really don't want me to like you. She regrets it, but like Toy Soldier, he can't really explain his situation, so he just has to move on. And if you didn't catch on at this point of the story that he is Kairos, they do make it explicitly clear. Meanwhile, Kinemon is using his amazing fruit power to
Don Quixote Doflamingo.
You would never know.
Yeah.
It's literally impossible. So while this is setting up, like Kairos and Luffy and Violet are climbing up to go assassinate Doflamingo, which Viola has Viola has no patience for Luffy, which I thought was it was cute to pair them up.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about this scene, because I've had a lot of mixed feelings on this scene. But the first thing Usopp does once confronted with Sugar, and there's pretty much no diversions. It's just like Sugar in trouble versus Usopp, is that he runs. And I'd like to get the room's feeling on Usopp's cowardice here.
Yeah, this was always when I was reading this at the time, I was pretty conflicted because I didn't necessarily view it as out of character, but I didn't view it as in character either. I was trying to figure out how I felt about it because Usopp has run from fights all the time. Like he's been doing it since he was introduced. He's been doing it since fucking Arlong Park. And he doesn't even just run from unimportant fights. He'll run from some important ones too. But the thing is, he will stick around or come back for the fights that do matter. And he will, and he does end up coming back for this fight. But even though that's a thing that's kind of happened before, this still felt different than those other times. And I don't know, in the moment, I thought oh, no, he'll stick around and stick up for the Tontatas. But I think what might be going on here, the reason this time is different and the reason he maybe ran away more than he would have normally is I think he was feeling conflicted and guilty about the story he had told the Tontatas. Because he's not this, legendary hero he told them about. And so he's like, no, I'm Usopp and I'm going to run because that's what I do. This ain't me.
Yeah, he's blaming it on Frankie, and he's like, "Oh, I'll write a little book about the Tontatas." There's another layer to this, but one of my I mentioned really early when we started talking about Dressrosa, there was it was a really good arc from my memory, but there was 5 or 4 things that stuck out to me negatively, and this was one of them, right? And the reason and I've also addressed how some of those things have been overturned upon reread. Yeah, and this also falls into that category because when it first happened, I was just annoyed that we went through a time skip and Usopp was pulling the same shit. Come on, man, when are you going to stop doing this act? And I think Joe really likes this aspect of this scene as well because we've talked about it before. There is the guilt of the Tontatas, but Robin's a toy at this point. So he wouldn't remember any of the character development he had during Eddie's Lobby and Water 7.
Any of the time where he spent on the train or shot the flame balls to save Robin, or why he did that, if he even does remember doing that.
Y'all.
And that isn't... So, the reason why I wasn't sure about this is because I wasn't sure if it was intentional because Oda never explicitly says it. So it left me conflicted, but upon rereading it, I feel like it is an intentional choice. But I would have liked Oda to, I don't know how he could have done it, but I would have liked him to capitalize on such a creative creative layer to this scene by making that more explicit, I guess.
Yeah, and it could be something subtle, but I can definitely see it being a thing.
And on top of that, even without Robin, it's Leo's belief in Usopp, which is just like brings tears to the eye because like at this point it's not naivety, it's just him like really believing that Usopp's a good guy and like he's right. It's just that Usopp's a bitch.
Because like if Usopp hears this, you see how bad it's hurting his face there. It says Shank, like he got shanked by these words because
no, Shanks came out and slapped him.
He is in the front.
If he says that and then Usopp runs away, Usopp would have to admit to himself he's a shit person, and he's not a shit person.
Which leads to this fucking legendary line.
Oh, but I still think about this line.
Build me a statue next to Nolan's because I'm about to become your legendary hero. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And
he's like, no, I'm not the fucking legendary hero Usoland. I'm fucking Usopp. Remember that shit. And
I'm gonna make my legend here, but we'll get there. Because then we get to the proper flashback from Kairo's perspective, which goes all the way back to his days as he was like a thug, but King Riku took pity on him and like saw that there could be, really shows a lot about Riku being able to give like a previous murder a second chance in his royal guard. And Kairos, to this day, lives with the guilt of his past and feeling unworthy. But he loves his family so much, as we see throughout the flashback. But, like, Scarlet won't have any of it. She wants to marry Cairo. She's absolutely in love with him, which is just a really cute dynamic. They have to fake her death to even do this, which is, like, so extreme. But this scene right here kills me. First of all, Rebecca looks way too cute here. Like, that is the cutest manga baby I've ever seen.
Up there.
Like Shirahoshi looked pretty cute, but like hot. Like this is the cutest little baby. But like Kairos' reaction to it is also just so adorable. It's like, am I allowed to touch such a pure thing? And it's very cute because that will come full circle near the end of the arc. But I like how this flashback kind of it doesn't end with Kairos trying to lop off Doflamingo's head, but it is a like part of the ending. And when we come out of the flashback, Kairos is back in his human form and he's doing the exact same thing. So he's picking up right where he left off on this day, which is like, good book ending to that part of the story. And just the tragic, like, a toy can't show emotion, so Oda has to, like, do certain drawing techniques to show the absolute despair. And here he uses, like, sketchy lines and sound effects and, like, framing Kairos' face almost off frame to like show how much Scarlet's death is messing with him. These 10 arms of mine cannot feel the warmth leave your body, which is just brutal. I love Kairos, but we get back to it. To Usopp's legendary victory over Sugar.
God damn.
And also is this the third? No, this is the fourth return of the Enel face. So
I was about to say.
So first of all, we have Enel, then we have Perona, we had Luffy this arc, and we also have Sugar this arc. So
I also like to point out that Sugar's fake eye patch thing is like a monocle, and she shatters it.
It's made of glass.
I didn't even notice.
That's such a little detail. That is this is a volume ender too, so like what
I remember reading this and being like, oh, that's
so good.
What a way to end a volume.
And I don't know if Bradley's gotten to it, but this is not Usopp's best moment in this arc by a long shot.
Oh man.
And that is a pun intended. But this is the birth of God Usopp. And the fan base still refers to him as God Usopp to this day.
Fuck yeah. Dude, this moment was so great. Like, not only does he save all these fucking souls, the light coming through, and everyone's like, that's proof that he was sent from heaven.
There's also the gag where like he's saying like, put me down, my arms hurt, but he can't get the words out, so it sounds like he's saying like, follow me, children.
Yes.
Or like some godly shit. Like that is a good gag. So
Yo,
they've been separated, but we get to see the revolutionaries together. We'll get back to them in a little bit, but Sabo's here and he will be part of this arc still.
ba boom.
Boom. So we do set up this little plot thread here where they're here researching the whole like arms trade that Joker, aka Doflamingo, has set up. And while this is the place where they make the smile fruits, which I believe we've talked about the power of the smile fruits, right? You can remind me, Bradley, if you remember, but I'm pretty sure we have. They're artificial devil fruits. I think
Yes.
and they're Zoans. But
Right.
so yeah, part of the arc
Kinda.
is destroying them, but there's also this idea of like the weapons aren't manufactured here. Where are they coming from? And that is a lingering thread that might come back later. I just got this panel because I love the way Doflamingo uses multiple bodies, and also the fight with Doflamingo is starting pretty soon, which is very exciting.
I like the Doflamingo without a head
Yeah,
deal. I other than it's just cool. It's just kind of really like terrifying that there's just this other being of him that without a head trying to kill people.
I really like Oda. He gave Doflamingo a unique fighting style with like the way he slashes things with his strings. It's just visually different from other One Piece villains that we've seen. But I also
It's very feral looking. Like he looks like he's clawing at something constantly.
yeah.
So it feels more like primal.
Yeah, he like there's times where he attaches it to his feet, and that always looks really cool to me as well. But I also like this because it's a fun move to do Empire Warriors 3. I like finding the exact references for the moves they pull out, and this is a cool one. So as we were mentioning, Doflamingo has begun the birdcage as his contingency plan, which we'll talk about the birdcage because this is like my final problem with the arc is the birdcage itself, and that one may or may not have been fixed by the reread. We will see. But the idea of just massacring the entire populace is badass and horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And reminds me of that Hunter x Hunter tweet where it's like, no other series covers these many topics. And one of them is like genocide.
Oh
Like,
my god.
they're all in One Piece, but it's
Oh, but like, do we have that tweet saved? That shit was really funny.
I should have saved that tweet. That was a good tweet.
It's probably not hard to find.
I want to point out that, to me at least, the main platform of this city looks like a tooth.
It does.
Yeah.
I just think that's kind
Oh
of
shit,
weird.
that does look very tooth-like.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that like Law knows what this is, so we will surely find out how he's witnessed this ability in the past. But yeah, basically starts Doflamingo's death game. So
Death Game.
let's talk about Koala because we've been holding back on it. And I don't know if Bradley realized it right away, but Koala is the small girl that Fisher Tiger saved in the flashback.
Oh yeah.
That is
So, like-
such a good connection,
Yeah.
man.
Whenever she first popped up, I was like, damn, I like this girl. She's pretty. And then I was like, wait a minute, her face looks very fucking familiar. Wait a minute, is that our girl? And like, it's really weird how, like, sometimes Oda has such powerful same face, but then other times I can, like, look at the face of this character and be like, wait, it's obviously this character from many chapters back who is also many years younger.
I think it's her eyes. Her eyes are
Yeah.
a lot more like perfectly round than other female characters, and she has a much more rounder face as well.
Yeah, and she retained the round face and the bob cut, and like something about her
Yeah.
smile also sticks out to me. So
Yeah.
not bad, Oda. I'll give you this one. Also, her design is so good.
Yeah, I was just impressed with Oda because like whenever adult Koala makes her debut, I don't think she's labeled Koala, but I was still able to be like, wait, is that Koala?
And
So good.
like it's just like to think of where she came from, where she was a slave. When she's on the ship, she barely knows how. Like she's just taking care of the ship and wiping stuff because she's so afraid of being punished. And she's the one that softened up the hearts of a lot of those fishmen. And I love how, and we can go back to like Fishman Island flashback stuff. Like some of the fishmen, like no one hated her on the ship, including people like Arlong. She was just kind of there for them. But then some of them, like Jimbei and like I think Aladdin, who is a a very minor one of the fishmen, but I remember him. Like they really took over caring for Koala. So like she's been through some stuff. She's a very important character in like Jinbei's life and just the entire plot of the Fishmen, which is still a like ongoing thing. So that's just really cool that Oda placed her in this location. Also, she's a human that knows Fishman karate, which is the first time we've ever seen that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty neat. Uh, Bart is meeting more of the crew, and here I just love how he labels Robin and Usopp the Ennie's Lobby heart shooting combo.
Yeah.
He's as much of a fanboy as any One Piece reader. Which so we get these little bounties for everyone, which is pretty good. Like Luffy, Law, Riku, and Sabo, surprisingly, are all like 3s, but then fuck all that because Usopp's a 5.
Oh my god.
God, Usopp.
This was some degenerate shit by Doflamingo. He's like, fuck this guy in particular.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it.
Hell
I
yeah.
love that he even was like, I gotta give him the moniker of God.
Yeah, let's see how you like being a god. Coming from a fallen god himself, which is Doflamingo, like, let's see how much you really like being a god, Usopp. Now, let me switch folders to our next set of images. We get back to, and I don't remember how we get to this scene, but this is Rebecca finding out that the toy soldier is her dad, and it's a very emotional moment because she just now that he's not a toy anymore, she can really remember both. I guess she could just remember her past. She never knew Kairos exactly, but she like has always had a father figure in her life. And it's just really clicking for her now, and I bet she feels really bad for screaming at him before, and that's all good and all. Dad! Let's see. So, it's mentioned multiple times, but Law's plan is to end up fucking over Doflamingo by getting Kaido to turn on Doflamingo, and it's just such a good part of the plan, because it's like, it's such a cutthroat world where if I take out the chain of supply, Kaido's coming for your ass, not mine.
Yeah.
And we're really hyping up emperors. We've seen Whitebeard even past his prime, just completely raise hell. So the power of the emperors is definitely hyped up right now, and I wonder if we'll get to see more of them in action soon. That'll be fun. We're dealing with pitiful warlords still.
There's a whole other tier of opponents now. This is some baby shit.
Okay, so more reasons why I love Doflamingo, and it is his absolute love of his family. And this is also where we find out it's the first time they dropped that he killed his father when he was 10. He lost his mother when he was 8. The family's been through with me through thick and thin, and they're all I have. So never laugh at them. And like, there's so many little moments of this arc that shows Doflamingo's love for his family, and I don't know if I'm the only one who like really feels that it's well established, but like for such a cutthroat villain, humanizing him with like a crew that he loves so well just makes him an even better antagonist in my mind. Gives him more depth.
Yeah, I think we had a comment talk about.
Yes, there was a commenter who was like, "Oh wow, really? I feel like I didn't get that feeling from the Doflamingo family, and I got it more from." Oh, who do they compare them to? It was like
Thriller Bark.
Thriller Bark, which up to this point, Thriller Bark was also our gold standard of like villain crew that has a good chemistry together. I feel like there's a lot going on in this arc, but there's plenty of moments of seeing the crew interact with each other, especially in the Law flashback. I think that's when they shine the best.
I know, like, if I had to critique it in any way, like, I think they do, even more than any other villain crew, establish that these are people who, like, really love each other and will fight fucking hard to protect each other. So I think that's more well established for this crew than a lot of the other villain crews. However, one thing I don't know if it's established is, like, why they care about each other as much as they do.
We definitely do get to that. And I don't think you're there yet. So keep that in mind, because I think it's It's a
I
really
think I
interesting
got through all the flashbacks, but
including the
I don't-
the Doflamingo one. I mean, we'll talk about it when we get
yeah,
there. Then.
like how he got to where he is in life and stuff.
Okay, but so we will get there then.
Yeah.
Eventually, maybe not this video, but probably next one.
I think it's interesting throughout One Piece is that part of the power scaling too is the the togetherness of the crew.
Camaraderie.
Thank you. As like almost like a power scaling thing, because you think back to Baroque works, like they all were just kind of working together, right?
Yeah, there was very little cohesion in Baroque works.
Yeah, and then not Ennie's Lobby, Skypiea, like they kind of worshipped Enel, but like even the crew below Enel, like had some internal conflicts with each other.
Yeah, they took a lot of pride in how effective each other's like trials were, for example.
Yeah, and then same thing with Ennie's Lobby, like Jabra and was it
Lucci?
Square? Yeah, Pucci, like oh fuck, what'd you say?
Well, Jabra and Lucci had beef. Like they didn't get along.
Was it Jabra and Lucci? I thought it was Jabra and Kaku.
No, it was Jabra and Lucci.
But yeah, like they like there was internal struggles. Like and we're getting to the point now in the new world where like the crews that we're facing are actually kind of much more tightly knit and supportive of each other. Like even Brownbeard's crew.
That's a good point.
They were pretty loyal to Caesar, and like the reason why that all broke up is because Caesar's like fuck all of you, and kind of gassed them all. But even Brownbeard's crew was like pretty loyal to Brownbeard, and Brownbeard loved them. And so now we're getting to a point where like this is the first crew where like everyone in that crew is all together and all of one mind of what to do.
And that is a nice mirror to our Straw Hat crew where everyone trusts Luffy no matter what. And they trust Doflamingo no matter what. So I really like the parallel of the family versus the crew. Mm-hmm. Which leads to the ultimate clusterfuck that is the climb to Doflamingo is absolute chaos. Look at all these fucking characters, man. And this is a hint at why I've turned around on the Colosseum, which previously I thought had too many characters and they might have not been fleshed out and they kind of bogged down the pacing of the arc. I won't get into exactly why I've completely turned, but this is part of it, that you get these chaotic, like everyone working together scenes of like all these random people who have nothing to do with each other working together for survival. Which is
everyone add chaos to a charge, just put one dude on a horse. Not everyone, just one dude on a horse.
And a couple of dudes on a bull. Who is the bull's a character by himself, by the way, so don't even forget that. This panel is just fantastic because Abdullah and Jeet jump on the bull with Luffy and Zoro, and Luffy's like, "Why are you here?" Which so we start busting out the diagrams, the favorite Oda technique.
I'll say I always like when he does this,
and I love it because we really need it in these like super chaotic arcs,
like this arc now more than ever.
Yes.
So
Sabo being nice little brother.
To clarify, because this was the part that confused me when I was reading this.
Okay.
This little city area in this mountain takes place on that giant tooth-like structure in Dressrosa. Correct.
Okay.
Does that happen there, or is that another place?
That doesn't seem right to me because, I'm sure that we get another diagram when Robin is jumping through the air with the lilies.
Okay.
And we'll be able to double check there. But Sabo, good brother, and like the world doesn't know that like Sabo, Luffy, and Ace are all blood brothers, but it might come to light one day. One thing I really like about Sabo, aside from his design and just the fact that he lives and like he has a bright future in the story, unlike Ace, whose story is done, is that Sabo to me always came off a little bit edgier than Ace in a way that I really like. He seems a little more fucked up and violent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got that vibe too.
It part of it might be also that he walks around with a goddamn pipe, which is always the most aggressive weapon you can bring to a fight. Yeah.
It's like whenever we were getting the Luffy's flashback where he first like would have met Ace and Sabo, it's like even though like Ace was probably fucked up of his own accord of not being wanted, by anybody in the world, Like, whenever I first met Sabo, I was like, I feel like this kid is a bad influence on Ace.
I thought Kid Sabo was a pretty good kid, especially because a lot of the flashback is about like his family coming to get him and he realizing just how disgusting the aristocrats are. So like but he grew up in the revolutionaries, and here's the thing. Bradley, do you think the revolutionaries are a good force? Like, are they a force of good?
Man, like, the thing is, they're opposing the world government, which it has to go. Yeah. But the thing is, I do wonder what these people would be willing to do to get rid of that world government.
I have the same vibe. Also because of the imagery at which they're portrayed, where they're wearing like those dark cloaks when they're moving in secret, and like Dragon is such a mysterious figure, and like you have to wonder, like, did Sabo grow up in a like violent environment as a child soldier for the revolutionaries? Like there's so much we don't know about them that I can't fully say that they're not like sketchy.
It's one of those things where it's like the revolutionaries have to look at how each other are dressed and be like, "Are we the baddies?" It's like you gotta dress like baddies.
Oh man.
The other thing is in my mind is like say the revolutionaries take over the government, like, how does that affect Luffy and his whole pirate crew thing? Yeah. And like, what does that mean to them? Like, because I can't imagine them still being fine and okay with a bunch of pirates running around doing whatever they want, because that's the complete opposite of the point of the government.
Yeah, they would be pirates. Like, they would, if they wanted to fight for pirate rights, I feel like they'd be pirates.
Right. That's the thing. Like, if they were just all about like
freedom,
freedom, they would be pirates. I feel
they would be like Luffy is not a freedom fighter, but he brings the dawn where he goes. That's like Luffy's theme. Yeah. He brings the dawn where he goes just because of his personality. If they were like for that big freedom, they would just be a pirate crew that are strictly like hero freedom fighters, but still identify as pirates.
That would go to islands and try to like fix things with the world government. Blah blah blah.
Exactly.
But this is like an organizational effort to bring down this system and to revolutionize it.
And like, what is their replacement system? There's so much we don't know, you know. So and don't get me wrong, like Sabo clearly undeniably loves Luffy. Like, he got involved in a lot of this mess just to make sure that like a big part of this, especially when it comes to Jizz's Burgess later on, is like personal stuff with his family that he loves. But it doesn't mean that all the revolutionaries love Luffy. I don't even know if Dragon loves Luffy. Dragon saved Luffy in Luge Town, but was that on a whim just because he was there that day, or like was it because, oh my god, it's my son, and I care about him?
Like, is it because he cares about Luffy as a person, or is it because he saw that like, hey, this guy could be a tool against the government?
Yeah, like
exactly. We just don't know. So that's why I really like the revolutionaries, and I really like that Sabo's one of them, and I have a very bright hope for his future storytelling wise. I feel like a lot of cool stuff can come from Sabo. We get Corazon's name drop. I just think it's nice that Abdullah and Jeet get to show up and like be helpful, because they're like, I forgot that they existed before I read this arc. Before I reread it, so that's just cool.
I still forgot.
I got this one because awesome action panel. I think Dellinger is so cool.
We talked about this in our tier list with Willer and I's tier list. Like,
yeah,
Dellinger's design is like so striking.
I love it.
Yeah.
And like, look at this aggressive fighting style, man. He's just launching himself through people. It's fucking brutal.
And heals.
Yeah, there was a thing in a SBS where like Dellinger was raised by Giola, the art lady. So like he's always grown up with like a bit of a feminine side and like an aesthetic side. So like it's just such a cool little explanation for, like, it's such a throwaway, unneeded explanation for his character design and like what kind of person he is. But like it just shows that the Doflamingo family has this impact on the younger members that is also really interesting. Man, Baby Five's a whole mess that we'll get into later.
Oh, Baby Five.
Which introduces us to quite the fucking character. The evening shower Kanjuro, the samurai that Kinemon's been looking for in this whole arc. Because
Yeah.
if we haven't had 13 plot points, don't forget the 14th, which is Kinemon and the samurai that he's been looking for.
I don't know what I expected this guy to look like, because like we knew we knew we were setting out to rescue this guy for a very long time at this point. I don't know. I expect, like, don't get me wrong, he's really cool, but I was expecting like badass warrior like Kinemon, and like, I don't know.
Yeah, Kinemon has his goofy side. I would say Kanjuro's even goofier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, keep in mind, Kinemon never forgot about Kanjuro, so it means Kanjuro avoided being turned into a toy, which is an interesting plot point to think about.
Yeah.
And he has such a cool fruit. His fruit seems busted to me. Now, there is a caveat to his fruit, and I do think we get to it this arc, and is it this arc? I think so, and it's hilarious, but we'll get there when we get there. He definitely looks like a Kabuki play guy. Mm-hmm. What color do you think his hair is, Bradley?
Man, I didn't even know this was going to be a question. I just assumed it was white.
Yeah, I would hope so, huh?
Is it like lime green or some shit?
It's like striking red, and it completely it caught me so off guard. But to be fair, he's modeled after a Kabuki play, actor, so that does make sense, I suppose. But yeah, we're meeting more samurai. We're getting closer to the Wano. Let me take a break. Let's all say Wano together, because Wano, because we always say it wrong, and we've gotten like 13 comments that it's like, it's not Wano, it's Wano. So
are y'all trying to say Wano?
Do you think I know what a Wano is?
Oh, we do get to it. So his drawings suck. And like, that's the great gimmick, is that like, oh, I have this awesome fruit, but I'm a shit artist. I like this little fight between them of like who has the most beef to go with Doflamingo. And Luffy just throws out a number older than like who he is.
You're not older than me.
Man, okay, Zoro. So like this arc is so interesting for the Straw Hats that aren't Luffy, because like they have roles that are a little weird compared to usual. Like Zoro for a lot of this arc is just on his own handling the Pika situation, and that just kind of feels like a different dynamic for Zoro, because he's moving around all over Dressrosa. He's like having to use his brain on how to take out this foe that can escape. It's very important that he stops the foe before he gets to the plateau and just ends everything. And then on the Usopp side, Usopp's doing his wild shit with Sugar situation and other stuff that comes later. And then with Robin, she's just playing support for everyone. So like, Frankie's in like a fight the entire like second half of this arc. He's just constantly in the fight with Senior Pink, right? So it's just interesting because in this arc, the Straw Hats kind of take a back seat, but also then get to fulfill roles that they don't generally fulfill, I feel like, which I felt like was an interesting way to handle them, because Oda definitely wanted to open the way for Law and the Coliseum fighters and Kairos. So it's interesting to look back on this and think of like what Oda's thought process was when he was like designing what everyone was going to do for the arc. But also, Zoro, like his attack used to be 108-pound Phoenix, and now he's up to 10,080-pound Phoenix, which just
1,000, not 10,000.
Oh yes, 1,080. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Which bigger number equals better strike. It's well known.
I don't understand how this works, but okay.
Yeah, because like it was going off a scale of 36s, so it went like 36, 72, 108, and then he just multiplied it by 1,000. So sure.
Well, Abba do infinity pound Phoenix.
I like how the Tontada are so dumb, or like they're so gullible that they have to start wearing earplugs to get past people's lies.
Oh.
Shout out, this guy is the only one who like has his shit together among the Tontadas that are in the factory, so shout outs to this guy.
I like the idea that like I'm just imagining him always babysitting everybody of his race.
Yes.
Like all the time.
He ate the brain fruit. He's smarter than his race.
Look at that chonk brain bursting out. So we get to Frankie's fight. And we're going to be seeing a lot of Frankie's ass, a lot of suplexes. And, man, the dynamic between Frankie and Senor Pink is just brilliant.
Oh, my God. Dude, Senor Pink.
Because a little while ago, well, man, we will talk about Senor Pink. But a little while ago, Senor Pink talked about leaving a granny behind. But here he's like, I saw a granny who needed help earlier. So it's like this gimmick of like being a heel but also being a sweetheart just gets to me.
I think that's Frankie saying that.
It is Frankie saying that. But okay, yeah, but Senor Pink mentioned the old lady earlier, which then just highlights the things that make them similar. And we haven't talked about his fruit, but I think he's got a pretty good fruit. Oh yeah, it was a trick. It was a trick to get him to go help her, and now he's back. It's like there wasn't an old lady, but I think it's called the swim fruit. Just being able to swim through anything is pretty cool. But then he has an attack where he shoots diaper bombs, and I'm like, what kind of pun is this? Is it like a mud pie pun where he's like shooting shit?
If he has a swim fruit, I assume he can't swim through water.
No. Which is ironic.
I thought Joe said the Simpson fruit.
Yeah, just more like I think they kiss this lady to death, basically. Like the lady who's like watching over the Notatas, they just like show up and just have a kissing match with her. And then it becomes a nipple light versus diaper bomb fight, and it's just absurd. It's a real man's fight, as it's stated. And like Frankie gets so overlooked, like in the character poll.
Senor Frankie,
like
Senor,
yeah. In the most recent like character poll that was held worldwide, Frankie was the lowest Straw Hat by quite a large margin. It was like him at 29 and Brooke at 28, and then like a couple of power gaps before we get to like, I think it was like Jimbei and Chopper next. But I feel like Frankie gets a bad stick because he's got so many fun moments throughout the story. We get introduced to... I remember Bradley saying he really likes this gag where Kanjuro like drew a ladder for the people that were coming to get them.
Yeah.
And Usopp just wants him to like commit seppuku or harikiri, and Usopp's like, no, really do it. So Kanjuro's a bit of a goofball. We also get introduced to Mancheri as a concept, but we don't really get to see her for a while. Man, I really like this part of the arc where they have to fight, or where Rebecca has to fight Diamante in the flower field. Like, clearly a traumatic experience for her, and Diamante is just such an asshole.
Mm-hmm. I really like Diamante's fruits.
I just
what is happening?
So like,
yeah, wait a minute.
The SPS artworks have been fan art for a while, right? And this one is just such a fucked up one because it's a reference to the scene where Dalton was going to commit suicide in Drum Island with a bunch of dynamite. And I'm like, whoa!
Man, I can't believe a shit post was made official.
Christ. Like, that was a really serious scene. Dalton was like, if Luffy can't beat a Wappo, I'm gonna go in there and blow everything up. And I was like, yeah, SBS. It's like,
what are these firecrackers I stayed for right now?
Best Dad Kairos remains best dad. He shows up to save Rebecca from Diamante. And I wonder if I would like Rebecca more if she was the one that had to fight Diamante. I don't know. What do y'all think, narratively speaking?
I would. But like,
she did pretty poorly against him. Like, there was barely anything to like the Rebecca part of this fight. I think she like did shit all. She deflected a hit maybe and like got hit.
Yeah, and like I get the whole angle where it's like he's the warrior, so she doesn't have to be. But at the same time, by doing that angle, you make it so Rebecca doesn't have to like
do anything.
Grow. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Because Vivi threw herself in the dirt like during that arc. And while I complain that like Rebecca is very similar to Vivi. They're even in an arc against a warlord with a ticking time bomb, and they're both the princesses. I will say, I guess that does make her different from Vivi, and I guess I should appreciate that more. Where like Oda did something very different with her, where like she has a guardian knight, and he does not want her to stay in her hands at all, and it's so idealistic that I'm like, you know what, I come around to that angle, and I do like it. Now, I think the way that we could have made like a compliment here is maybe Kairos shows up a little bit later, and Rebecca held her own for a while, and like she's a little more beat up. Like she could be a little more beat up when Kairos gets here, and then he makes his proclamation where like you will never have to bleed or fight again. I will protect you now that I'm a human again. Maybe that would have made both characters come out better, as opposed to like Kairos always being the one that like Rebecca exists to make Kairos looks cool. And, like we said that earlier, but it could have been a little bit better here.
I think if we saw her and she was like exhausted and she like passed out, I think it would be meaningful for something, because it's like literally like her carrying the weight of her family throughout the entirety of her life.
Yeah, and Oda did portray that part of it, but yeah, he didn't really land it here.
Mm-hmm. I'm done.
Yeah, okay.
That's all.
Law does some creative shit in this arc. We've seen plenty of it, but this is a cool one where he pretty much, as soon as the bullets hit his body, he rooms them away so that Doflamingo thinks he's killing him.
Yeah.
Which also is an explanation to why Law is alive at all, because like this was way earlier when they were fighting Greenbit, and you were left with the question of like, how the hell is Law even alive when Doflamingo pumped his body full of lead? But
I'll say, once you have the op fruit, you become very, very hard to kill.
I love how in English it's the op fruit, because you can read it as the op fruit, and it's just perfect. Like between this and Sugar's fruit, like some of the most broken fruits in the entire series are in full effect here. Meanwhile, a dude with a rubber fruit and a string fruit are doing like the craziest battle in the sky. So like Oda keeps to it with like making the simpler powers be very creative as well. Oh my god. Okay, we haven't reached the part where you stopped yet, right? We're good to keep going?
Not yet. Yeah, we can keep going.
This scene is fucking nuts. And even knowing was coming, rereading through it, I just didn't realize how fucking insane this is.
That's like, before this, I was like, God, Usopp. Like, before this, I was like, God, Usopp is a really fun joke. And now I'm like,
oh my
God,
God.
Usopp is a really fun fact.
Viola has to be the spotter here, which gives her a fun role to do, right? And then you have to keep in mind that this is happening across different ends of Dressrosa, because it doesn't look like it here, but the plateau's on the other end. The flower field is, and they're at like a different plateau. And then how hype is it that Usopp is awakening observation hockey in this scene? Like, that is so fucking cool. Like, it's the first time I think we've ever gotten to see someone awaken their hockey like this.
And I just also love that I always like calling back to the fact that Usopp, like, in combat, he's no buster. Ever since his debut, like, I think he's always been known to be an amazing shot with the slingshot.
Yeah.
And I just love showing that strength of his.
And this is like one-upping his feat in Eni's lobby where he's sniping people across the bridge, because this is a projectile that shoots multiple times, and Usopp has to redirect it with the wind and shoot it through a window the size of Sugar's head. It is absolute insanity. And if he doesn't do this, Luffy and Law get turned into toys and the arc is over. Like, in my opinion, this is the best Usopp moment in the series so far.
Totally.
It is so fucking hype. And oh my god, it is a shot that is meant to reawaken trauma.
Yeah, she's fucking traumatized by this shit.
It's cool too because the traumatic face was created by Kanjuro, so like a lot of teamwork being done for this one moment. Like, for as chaotic as this arc is, Oda's a fucking master at like making a lot of plot points and characters converge for the big moments, I think it's really impressive to be able to keep track of such a ambitious story.
Oh man, what a attack!
Man, fucking wonderful. Which finally gets us to this scene. Luffy and Law are finally facing off against Doflamingo and Treble.
And man, it's just like you sit here and you're like, I know how fucking strong Luffy and Law are. So what does it say that they're both going to be fighting Doflamingo and he looks this relaxed?
I know, he's just chilling.
Like a villain.
Y'all, let's talk about the female warlords, though.
Yeah.
Yo. Actually, not yo.
I mean, let's not forget Crocodile was a woman in the past.
This is canon. That's a canon Crocodile.
That looks way too good. Like
it's almost as if he was a woman in the past and Vankov turned him, and the meme theory we've had for years is actually real. Now, female Mihawk is choice. Mm-hmm. Female Doflamingo is a freak. Male Boa is a handsome fucking lad. Looking a little bit like Ace there. But then, like, female Jinbei kills me, dude. Look at her. And female Blackbeard is just not okay.
Blackbeard? Can't grow one.
Earlier in this arc, actually, in Punk Hazard, Law used this line where the weak do not have the right to choose how they die. And I've been hitting this point because I feel like as more and more time is spent in the post-time skip, this is one of the themes that, like, keeps getting hit every so often. And I just want to bookmark it because it'll come back later in some interesting ways as well. But it's cool, though, that Law probably got this line from Doflamingo in the past, and it's something that stuck with him. Which they have a very interesting rival, mentor-teacher hatred relationship that Lost Flashback gets into. This was super cool. So to get this attack off, Luffy was going to attack Law, and then Law swapped himself for Doflamingo, which allowed Luffy to hit the Red Hawk.
That was pretty badass.
Which is, I love me some combo moves. And finally, Doflamingo gets punched in the fucking gut for the first time this arc. This is the first real damage he's taken in the entire arc. This is important, too, because we're actually birds of a feather here. The Navy can't be the hero to this country. It ain't our place. Fujitora remains such a mysterious but interesting character, but this really comes to light after the arc is concluded. You really get to see what Fujitora meant by this line, so I really like that it was set up previously here.
But he said...
Right, yeah. So he actually makes it pretty clear here that, like, as a betting man, he's betting it on Straw Hat. So, like, Luffy is going to be publicly the hero this time, which is very different from every other arc, actually. Luffy has never gotten to publicly be the hero because they censored his involvement in Alabasta. And then in every other arc, it's kind of like either a small island in the East Blue, where there isn't much news coverage, or it is not like Luffy saving a kingdom or anything. Like, when it happened to the Fishman Island, like, humans don't care what the fuck's happening with Fishman Island, for example. So this is going to be a really big moment in Luffy's career, which, as someone who really likes following Luffy's career, I think that's really great.
I always think it's interesting to take the meta story of One Piece in relation to the world.
Yes.
Where it's like, what is the world view of Luffy, or like acknowledgement of Luffy, and what does it look like throughout the series at certain points?
And it's super interesting to mirror the reader view of Luffy as that keeps going, because, like, man, there's a moment at the end of the next major arc where, like, I felt about Luffy in a way, like, I've never been more proud of a fictional character. So, like, moments like these affect the reader and the world in kind of parallel ways, which I think is really interesting. And might be, like, a secret feat that Oda does that is, like, often not brought up, is how well he can, like, match the world's view of Luffy with the reader's view.
It's part of that world building. Like, he understands, like, at the end of all of this, what is the world's perception of Luffy going to be?
Yeah, and it needs to be like Luffy is the coolest person, like the most badass, strongest pirate, best shonen protagonist of all time. Like that is that's the end goal Oda's trying to get. So he has to hit certain, like he has to get that gradual progression there. Because even though Luffy's the main character, I can't say I believe in him fully to beat like certain opponents, you know? Like I'm like, just because he's the main character and he will probably win whatever tough fights, I can't like believe in it happening until I see it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's how the world views Luffy sometimes as well. So, just very interesting. I like Law's Law's moves are basically based on whatever you can do in an operation room, which I think is really fun.
Yeah.
So you got like injection shot and scalpel, and we'll see gamma knife later, which is also cool. Oh, this is cool. First of all, I just love whenever Doflamingo kicks people. Like Oda draws these kicks so fucking well. Like Luffy's spinning from this one. But I like the foreshadowing to a certain technique here, which I don't know if Bradley's gotten to that, but Doflamingo's doing some weird shit in this panel, which I think is really neat. Let's see.
I killed my father to remove my suffering.
Yes.
Took his head back to Marijoa.
Oh, I like this because it's like a good way to like... It's a good panel to highlight what Doflamingo's motivation is. Mm-hmm. And it is that, like, there was no escape from hell, and that's when I swore that I would destroy everything they hold dear about the world that they control. This is like, when you write a villain that wants to destroy the world, it's so easy to just make it generic and uninteresting because you've seen it so many times.
Like, how do you give a villain the motivation to genuinely want to destroy everything with still keeping him human, you know?
Yeah, and this is just so good because, like, Doflamingo was born fucked up, and then Treble finds him and nurtures that fucked upness, right? So, like this is a kid with the entire, like, the rage to feel the entire world, like, inside of him. He's gone through so much shit that he's so nihilistic and so destructive that he has the motivation to destroy everything just because it's going to ruin the Celestial Dragon's day. And, like, that is such a cool motivation that you really need to set up to work as well as it did. And I personally think it works really well.
I think it's also interesting where I don't know how much talked about his backstory, but, like, it's interesting if you read between the lines here, you can understand that he wasn't on Marijoa when this happened. Because he says he took his head back to Marijoa, so, like, he was not there whenever.
Yeah, no, the flashback makes it pretty clear that they had left Marijoa by the time he killed his father.
But I don't know if it was that hasn't happened yet when we read this, but, like, we haven't gotten a clear indication of, like, what has happened. So I think it's just interesting Oda's placed these, like, tidbits that you could see developing that flashback.
Throughout this arc, Oda has placed tidbits about Celestial Dragon, Will of D stuff, Doflamingo flashback, Law flashback stuff. And we also learn about the real treasure of the Op fruit, which is the ability to grant someone, and I wonder if I got the wordings right here. It grants someone eternal life with the immortality operation, but in performing it, the surgeon loses their own life. Thus making it what some would call the ultimate devil fruit. Now, this is really interesting because Law did not, like, the whole reason why Law even got that fruit is that Law would eventually, after his time as a pirate is done, perform the operation on Doflamingo, and of course things didn't turn out that way. Yeah. Which means we now have potentially the ultimate Chekhov's gun that must be fired by the end of this series.
Luffy, Eternal King of the Pirates.
It's interesting, right? We don't know the full scope of what this eternal life means. It could even mean revival. Like, there is a potential that Luffy genuinely dies at some point.
No.
And Law...
At the end of the story, Law and Brook are best friends, and he gives Brook his life back.
You know what, Bradley? Yours is happier.
Yeah.
Either way, either way, this is a massive death flag for Law.
Oh yeah, he's fucked. He's fucked,
yeah.
man. Like, come on, he's
so dead. Everyone's been. I think what's also interesting though is remember, well, at the very beginning of this, we had to talk about when the manual was brought up. It's like, well, that means the devil fruit's been seen before, and someone has used them before and done this before.
Yes.
This means this has had to have happened before for someone to know.
Ooh,
That's a very good point.
Is there an immortal fucker out there?
Yeah.
I wonder. Now, you know what? Maybe Law isn't as doomed as we think. Maybe the whole point to bring this up now is that we can highlight who it's happened to before. And then Law doesn't end up doing it. Like, the Chekhov's gun never fires, but the power of the op fruit is brought up early.
It just turns out it already fired.
Yeah, it already fired. It's a gun without ammo now. Now, we'll have to see how that turns out, but it is just juicy. How Oda creates all these complex mysteries and then carries them forward hundreds of chapters later. And it's cool when you can spot one forming early, ahead of time.
Yeah.
And this is one of those moments. Man, and then we get to the Law flashback. How are we doing on time? We're only an hour in.
Yeah.
Okay, we can get to Law flashback. Now, Bradley, you did do Lost flashback, yes?
Yeah, I think I finished all the flashbacks.
Yeah, okay, cool. Then, you should be pretty close to done, which is fun. I went to, this is how we start this flashback. It is this line. I want to spend the next 3 years killing as many people as I can and destroying everything.
What a way to start.
And you're just like, oh, I was starting to like Law, and this is the kid he used to be. Okay, fuck.
Man, that sounds like something that a kid Doflamingo would say, huh?
Maybe they're more alike than they'd like to mention. Man.
God, what a character. What a on fire character.
This fucking guy, Don Quixote Corazon, is introduced in this flashback as Doflamingo's brother. And I think he's been mentioned, and Bradley might remember more, but he's not mentioned that much throughout the arc, but I think there were hints to him.
I think the closest thing we got to a mention is it might not even have been in this arc. It might have still been on Punk Hazard. I think Law mentioned someone named Cora. Yeah. And you're like, what is that going to be?
We actually literally just saw a panel in this whole podcast where Doflamingo says, my brother Corazon. So it had been mentioned.
You know what? There you go.
Yeah, okay, but I feel like they were holding on to it pretty close to the flashback. I don't remember, but one thing I do remember fairly earlier on is the mention of the heart seat that was left open. And obviously that was Corazon's seat among the suits.
Yeah, because I think the last time we talked, there was not an SBS page, but it was just like a diagram Oda made between chapters that showed the layout of I almost said the Frankie family, the Don Quixote crew, and I remember thinking man, I wonder why there's not a heart leader.
Speaking of good family, shout outs to the Frankie family. Hope those guys are doing okay.
I hope they're just having the best life. Dude, look at Senor. He's so sexy.
Senor Pink is so hot. So
he's fine.
This is like the stuff I mean. Like there's them eating pizza together, like having a family meal. Doflamingo smiling for Christ's sake.
Yeah, look at that. It's not like a I'm gonna kill you smile. It's like, hey, this is good food.
I like these people. We're eating some good fucking pizza. This is the kind of stuff we see so many show don't tell moments of how this family is so comfortable together, and we also get to see how many kids there are. Notably, Dellinger is not even in the crew.
He's in bottom right. He's a baby.
Oh my god, he's a tiny baby. That is so fucked up, actually.
Yeah, man.
He's next to the painting lady that you mentioned before in SBS.
She raised him, so man, Oda's he doesn't just accidentally stumble into these. He truly has it all laid out, except for the dumb shit that he forgets and then he jokes about in SBS.
Man. And with Dellinger, I don't know what gave me this vibe, because everyone in the family is a little fucked up, but I feel like Dellinger, kind of like Doflamingo, just kind of really thrives on the chaos.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get to the panel where I think that feeling clicks, because I feel the exact same. Dellinger is fucked up.
Yeah, because I feel like most characters in One Piece, both good guys and bad guys, when they're fighting, I feel like they know exactly how much strength they need to put into their attack to take down the person, and they use that much strength.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when Dellinger fights, and again, I don't know what gives me this vibe, I feel like he's just putting everything into every attack. Like, he just wants to fuck you up.
Yeah, we saw him skewer that competitor guy earlier. So.
Yeah.
Notably, too, Monet, Virgo, and Sugar are not here. Now, Virgo's not here because we find out later he's on a super secret mission, which is the, like, a very good twist that happens later in this arc. In this flashback.
Audibly gasped at that moment.
That was a bomb under the table, like Hitchcockian moment right there. And then Monet and Sugar not being here is really good because it is a very important plot point that Law never met Sugar and Monet, that they came after him. Yes. Because Law wouldn't know what Sugar looks like or what her powers are because he wasn't part of the crew. So, like, it all just kind of blends together well of, like, when Law was here and how the plot can work around it. No plot holes to be found here.
So why is Law in this panel twice?
So he's part of the lower right panel. You know when Oda bleeds someone into into another panel, and then on this left one is him where he's actually standing in the room, which is facing the rest of the crew.
Makes sense.
Corazon, like he has it out to kill Corazon, and he's so not like Law is so incredibly nihilistic. I don't believe in anything anymore. Like he's like what 6 or 7 for a kid that young to be saying these things. It is so dark.
Got cancer.
So, we do learn that Law is a kid from a white town, Flevence, and that everyone there was damned to die because of a virus that cannot be cured, and the government said, fuck that, we're not helping, let them die with their corona, no help. Just like classic, like, some of the evilest shit we've done from the world government, but not surprising, right?
Yeah, it's just like, man, no wonder this kid is so crushed.
Yeah.
Now, on the day that Doflamingo met Law, I just find it very interesting that he's going to sleep while reading about White Town Flevence. It's like subtle, quiet moments like this that make Doflamingo like one of my favorite One Piece characters. Like after rereading this arc, is like I get the sense that he's like, I want to learn more about what this kid went through and where his hatred comes from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like he obviously wants to understand the people working under him, you know?
Yeah. And it's important because, like, a big part of Doflamingo is, like, being able to understand everyone so much that he can puppeteer them as needed. Now, not to say that he doesn't necessarily do that with his family, but when it's time to move chess pieces, like Corazon, and, like, move against them, like, him knowing what his people's mindset are, you feel like is part of how he stays in touch and in control. But, like, I just think it's very interesting that, like, to seeing a tired Doflamingo researching about where Law is from. Mm-hmm. Also, and I'm sure Bradley's noticed this, we've never seen Doflamingo's eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
His sunglasses have always been on. This is the first panel where we've seen him, like, off.
Yeah.
We don't see his face.
Willer, you know that character, the dad in the Somnium Files? Ota's dad.
Ota, yeah.
I hope Doflamingo has those eyes.
that would be perfect. They're little dot eyes.
He has Shinigami eyes.
This is an explanation of what happened to the town of Flevence, which I think is a really cool, like, generational virus. Where, like, everyone who was infected with it dies at a certain age, which means, like, the Law's generation will never reach adulthood. So, like,
god damn,
all he has is the next 3 years to raise hell and just rage out against the world. Which you gotta believe that Doflamingo took him in despite being a virus child who has no future. He probably took him in because it's like, I can relate to you with hating existence itself. You know. This is I love seeing, like, them. What the fuck is with Mach Weiss's Tanuki tail? Mach Weiss is a furry. I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, wait. I never noticed that.
But
is that his fruit? Is he a Tanuki?
No, his fruit is the Tuntun fruit. So he gets big and small, heavy and light. But
he's confirmed furry.
Confirmed furry. I just like whenever we see multiple panels of, like, the Don Quixote family just walking and looking cool like a mafia.
Yeah.
Right. They completely isolated. They, like, destroyed everything in that country. Law is maybe the only survivor of White Town, and definitely the only one we know of. It seems like everyone else was genocided, which only exists in Hunter x Hunter and a shonen. Don't forget.
You're right.
I think it's interesting that the entire family like immediately knows the situation, is understanding what's going on.
Yeah,
with him as well.
It's so fucked up that even they know about it. Like, man, that was some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go murder this town. We get Law's proper flashback of like his parents get killed, and then his orphanage set on fire. Like, all of these children died, including Law's closest sister. And just in this moment, this kid broke. And it's interesting, actually, now that I think about it, because Doflamingo is a very similar moment of just breaking. And they're both in locations that have fire, now that I think about it. So, like, very direct parallel there. Which, speaking of Doflamingo, here he is going through it too, where his family left the Celestial Dragon and people took advantage of that they could finally strike back the Celestial Dragons. This is very brutal. Let's break all their bones with a hammer. We'll stick 1,000 arrows in them. Like, One Piece doesn't have to show gore to imply insane violence, which is why it can fly under the radar and be for kids and then talk about breaking the bones of children.
This was another one of those panels where I'm like, One Piece is a sweet manga for nice children.
For good boys and girls.
I want to bring up again what I mentioned about Hody Jones and like what my thought process is for the villains in the new age. And like, this is, and it's they're carrying on the will of the people that hated them, essentially.
Yeah.
So like Doflamingo now, like, this is kind of where his anger and will from that manifests, is this crucifixion that he has with his family. Where it's like, everyone just hates us, I'm just gonna fucking kill everybody, and then it gets extended to the Celestial Dragons when they refuse him as well and say that you're terrible trash.
Yeah.
And then you see it in Law as well, where he's just like, I want to fucking kill everybody because his whole town burned down. Like, everyone just like got genocide.
Yeah.
Like, he was willing to carry on that will of like, I'm just gonna, like, that's just what life is, killing everybody you see that's not you.
That's so good. Like, that cycle of hatred going on to these characters. And like, thankfully, Law, it's interesting because Law is able to break out of it, but Doflamingo exists for destruction.
And that's because of the people that they ended up being surrounded by, which links back to the great thing of One Piece.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Interestingly, that's not the proper Doflamingo flashback, but that is a hint of it as he has his dream. No eyes to be seen, but like, it's just so good that like, he's so shaken by this, and he's such a like, he comes off as so comically evil when he's taunting the good guys, right? He comes off as like a Joker-esque, I live for chaos, but there is something so desperately human inside of him but it's so warped beyond recognition that like, man, Oda did a really good job here.
Where is Doflamingo right now?
He's probably just like in a shit room where like, don't come here, I'm sleeping.
I think that's just really interesting considering what we see in his flashback where he lived as a kid.
That's true. Huh. That's a good point. Doflamingo clearly has a palace room that he can go chill in.
He can go fuck anyone anywhere in.
Yeah.
Yo.
Well, I'll have to one day tell Bradley about the canon things about Viola and Doflamingo, but
already.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting that he would come to this dingy room and reminisce about the past. There's probably a lot you could read into that, and I don't know how intentional it is, but now that you mention it, like, there's very intentional. There's no other explanation as to why he's here. And like, Oda really shows and doesn't tell sometimes, and like, he's very restrained with his storytelling in some ways. Where like, it's very clear Oda's an incredible storyteller, but like, he really holds back sometimes in celebrating how good of a storyteller he is.
Because like, this is the same rumor that he was reading about the white disease, right?
Yeah, it is a direct follow-up. So he's sleeping there, and then he wakes up with a nightmare. So like, it's definitely like, he went here to experience what that kid went through, and like, this was incredibly intentional because this is back to his childhood. And you know what? It's so perfect because he's reading about Flevens. He's like, man, this is fucked up. I'm gonna take a nap, and then without really wanting it to, it triggers memories of his past, and like that connection that him and Law have is still traumatizing him to this day. Wow, that's really good, and I think fairly easy to miss.
Yeah.
Wow.
I literally looked at that panel. I was like, man, this is a shitty room. Why is he in here?
Why is he in a shitty room?
Because like he obviously bunked up for like the day here. Because he's got like 3 bottles of wine. He's got his own couch.
He chilling.
He took his coat off. Yeah.
Took his glasses off, showing his his Sharingans. Getting back to more of his flashback. Like I love this part where his dad begs to go back. Like they're gonna be the nicest celestial dragons ever, and they go out to the real world and realize, hey, we fucking hate you. By the way, you people are scum, and it sucks, right? Because like they didn't deserve this. They weren't the ones who caused that pain. And I guess it goes into the discrimination that we've been building with the Fishmen and Fishman Island, like just this like, or like the White Town Flavins, where like some of you are infected, so we have to burn the whole goddamn thing down. Like, it's just very interesting how Oda's handling like these nuances of like not everyone in a group might be responsible for what their group is suffering, which is
but also you can't expect to be different and be treated differently, you know, like the father thought it's like, oh, I can come in and be the nice guy and everyone's going to love me, but that's not true at all. Like you carry the sins of the people you were with.
And look how fucking well he's drawn here. Like what a like just desperation shown through shading. It's fantastic art. The wording of "don't ever call me again human," like these people are disgusting. And Doflamingo feeling pain and hurt for the first time in his life. Like, this is a kid who had lived completely pampered and then goes on to experience pain for the first time and just hates his father because of it. Like, he blames his father for bringing him here. And, like, how could he not, right? Like, who else is a kid to blame in this situation? Just absolutely tragic. And in that night, he awakened his Conqueror Hockey. So it's a very interesting, like, he awakened it through very dark circumstances. There's the plot point where Corazon doesn't let Doflamingo know that he can speak. And he hides, like, what Law has done to him. And Law is just like, why are you protecting me? Which will definitely be shown as we get to understand more of the relationship together. This is some of that stuff where, like, just through like a couple of pages, you get to understand so much about this family. Like, there is so much visual information to gather from these couple of panels, and I think there was another page of this too. So like, Baby Five and Law, like they would fight together and like protect each other as the younger ones, and then they'd go cry to Doflamingo, and then Doflamingo would murder them. You can see the slashes, and Corazon would help, and then set himself on fire. And then they'd fucking toast and, hey, Law, make sure to study your doctor books because one day you're going to perform surgery on me. And then, like, this is, to that comment, these are the pages that I think make me completely sold on this family, because even stuff like Gladius and Law's relationship is slightly shown. Like, characters that you won't even see interact for the remainder of the arc, and, like, Lao Ji is the one who taught Law how to fight hand to hands, and Diamante was just an asshole. Like, there's just so much.
And you can see Baby Five like pampering, not pampering, but like cleaning up Dellinger's face in the background.
Yeah, he needs her.
Dellinger's a little grown up, and Giola is very pampering, which is why Dellinger grew up that way. Like, they're so fucking dense. I love it. Oh man, this part kills
me.
me.
There isn't like an obvious like connection kind of thing. Like, it's not like, well, Doflamingo's gonna be king of the pirates. Like, kind of the Straw Hats have. They have a ideal that they believe in.
No. There's a very good reason why they trust Doflamingo, and I think it's explicitly said in a little bit, so I won't talk about it yet.
Well, the point I was getting at anyways is that like they just kind of like enjoy being around each other.
That's also the point. They can be criminals with each other and be powerful together.
Because earlier it was like I was saying like, oh, I see that they are very close with each other, but I don't get how they're as close as they are with each other. But I think these two pages right here say a lot, because like look at that toast and that smile in the bottom right. You can just kind of feel the air of camaraderie that went on here. Like, hey, we accomplished something together.
I like how they don't give a shit about underage drinking either.
Yeah, notably Laws here, like he
and
really,
85.
Yeah, he's like, if you are here, you are one of us. You did it. Congrats. Have a drink.
Man, that's why am I feeling so like good about the Don Quixote family? These people are horrible. But like, oh, that's so wholesome. This panel drove me insane. So we get revealed that Law's a fucking D. What the fuck? So,
and man, I read this page and I was like, oh, this is this is one of our moments where we see the word D and then we're not going to mention it again for another 200 pages. But then we turn the page one or two times and we actually start getting some information on it for the first time ever. And I was like, ugh.
Not yet. This was so frustrating because it's like, so my name is Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. So first of all, interesting name that I might get into a theory at the end of this arc. Remind me to tell you a big law theory that I like. I hope I don't forget it. But I there's something to the name that I think also applies to the theory. But and it's like he's talking about it, but then fucking Buffalo's like, that's not a very interesting story, and Baby Five's like, yeah, no. So like we were about to get whatever Law does know about the D. He was probably gonna say it, but fucking Buffalo cucked me, man. Now, thankfully, Corazone's gonna come through for us and give us some lore law.
Trafalgar D. Waterlaw.
First of all, first time he's ever spoken, and something's clearly up, and it's all an act. Yeah, because I was like, so your bumbling shit is also not real? I was like, yeah, it's all an act, buddy.
Yep.
As he lights himself on fire. So here we actually get some stuff. The people in one area, the people of the D are known as the enemies of the gods.
Yeah, and it's like, the thing is, this is what people believe. It doesn't necessarily mean it's fact, but at the same time, I latched onto this because I'm like, this is the most we've ever gotten.
So, do you have any theories about it based on this stuff?
It's like, because the thing is, it would technically be possible for someone to, like, if they heard this rumor, they could like purposefully name their child with a D middle name, but something tells me that Oda just wouldn't have characters do that.
That'd be a little confusing, yeah.
Like it seems more likely that there just is something unknowable that is driving people of similar spirits to have these D middle names, and that's all I can really say.
When they say enemy of the gods, we have to think of like what gods are there, and when I think of gods in the One Piece world, I think of the celestial dragons.
That's exactly what I thought.
So a prevailing feeling about the D is that at some point they were
It stands for devil.
It stands for devil potentially because that is a direct enemy of the god. And why are they devil fruits? So maybe they have access to the like Eve tree that could potentially have, because there's the Adam tree and there's supposedly the Eve tree, and maybe that's what has all the devil fruits. Which, biblically speaking, Eve ate the tree with the fruit from the tree, so maybe the Eve tree has the fruits to like link that together. That is a potential, right? So
it's all coming together.
Prevailing theory is that like 800 years ago, the D's were either like in rule or they were opposing of the celestial dragons, and then the Void Century happened, and maybe they were branded as enemy of the gods because the people who came out as gods after the 800 years or after the 100-year century blank seemed to be the celestial dragons, like because that's when I believe that's when the 20 kingdoms formed, that's when the world government formed, I think we were told. So it seems like maybe they weren't always gods, but now that they are gods, retroactively the D-Clan is named the enemy of the gods because they were in the past. So like it's a sense of censorship where like we're going to demonize them potentially. Maybe D's demon, who knows?
What if they're the real dragons?
Maybe
But then he's dragon.
And here, like, even Corazon even talks about it. If the celestial dragons are the gods in this case, maybe your people's goal is the destruction of this world. Now, he's saying that And I kind of buy it, but destruction not in a bad way.
Yeah, like destruction of the world as we know it, you know?
Especially in this arc, but also other arcs, Luffy leaves a wake of destruction in which countries can reform. Like, think of Fishman Island, how much he tore the place up, but how happy they were. Like, Fukaboshi, Shirahoshi's brother, was like, Luffy, just fucking end it all. Like, destroy it all so we can rebuild our filthy history and, like, start anew. So, like, Luffy destroys but leaves a seed of, like, hope in places that he goes, which is interesting. So, maybe Corazon's on point here. We get the very good twist that Corazon is actually working for the Marines, which I don't think up to this point in the flashback that was clear. But, like, having Doflamingo's own brother be a double agent for the Marines is kind of fucking nuts and completely unexpected. I like how this guy's doing the barrier defense pose. But everywhere they go, no one wants to treat Law. As expected. This was just cute because My Hero Academia came out around this time, and it's like, hey, this guy drew this fan art for me.
Like, that's gotta be so cool to be inspired by your hero and then ending up in the same publication as him and having him shout you out.
Yeah, what's cool is that this piece of artwork was the first thing Hirokoshi ever published in Jump as a fan art. So
that's so cool.
Just so poetic. One Piece out here birthing mid-manga. This is.
They found the fruit.
They found the fruit.
Yeah.
That man is. Oh, right. They're gonna give the fruit to Corazon, and then you can heal Law's disease. But Law wants to give it to Law, or Corazon wants to give it to Law, so that Law can live a better life and, like, not be exiled out of the family in any way, or, like, take care.
Also, Corazon can't eat the fruit because he'll die.
Right. That's a good point. I forgot about that. Corazon has a fruit. It is the sound fruit, in which he can create bubbles in which sound does not exist.
Yes.
It's super cool. One, like, I'm all about those utility fruits like that. I think that's really cool.
Oh, it is used to very good effect later on. And, like, Doflamingo has some suspicions on his brother because he's been kind of gone for the little while, and, like, suddenly the Navy's not showing up to, like, intercept us. That's kind of suspect. So it's not coming. Like, so I got this one because there's one point of One Piece that needs to be explained to me one day. They explain here that they travel to the North Blue. How do they get from the Grand Line to the North Blue without a Navy vessel? And did the Navy vessels even have sea stone back then?
Because Corazon made the ship really quiet. And they went over the calm belt and the monsters didn't notice.
You know, that's not horrible. That actually kind of works, except the calm belt, I believe, has very little wind. So I guess they rode the whole way.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that aspect of it, where you also can't sail.
No, well, hold on. If there's got to be some wind, otherwise the Navy ships wouldn't be able to do it either. So
Corazon got back behind the ship and he just kicked his legs and paddled over.
Yeah, water makes you float, so everything's lighter.
There you
go. Here, Law does not like Navy men because they work for the fucking government, and he lies to him, which I thought was very interesting because, like, they're growing such a wholesome relationship here, and watching Corazon lie to Law just kind of hurts.
Yeah,
but that'll come back later, also in a very sad way. And they go over his power. He's like, "What a stupid power! Maybe 5 is way cooler." And he's like,
and what a way to reveal it.
Yeah.
Because he can still smell it, so it's just perfect.
Well, it's like Kinemon, which he was real as a butt.
Where he farted to speak.
Yeah.
Badass samurai. Okay.
Yo.
There's some really good lore to this chapter cover that I would be remiss not to talk about. This was the same week that Naruto ended.
Whoa.
And what do you know? Here's a cover page in which Luffy is eating ramen with Naruto. And the characters in the page are Nami, Chopper, and Luffy. And if you say Luffy with a Ru, and
Oh,
Tony Chopper, you get Naruto.
that's pretty fucking cool.
What a very honorable like little shout out to pretty much like the only peer Oda ever had as a mangaka was Kishimoto. And I guess
the last of the big three.
Yeah.
Other than One Piece.
Yeah, like it's his big three brethren. I guess you could maybe throw Demon Slayer in now, but it seems a little different. But yeah, like it was his. It must have hurt. Like it must have been kind of bittersweet to have your longtime manga rival finish a series like this, and you got to keep going.
It's got to be real weird because it's like it's definitely like, oh, you're moving on to a different job kind of thing feeling, and you're just like, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
So Suru's here. Just want to point it out because we never see like even young Suru is old because she's just that old. I like how her Marine Corps is like all women. That's pretty cool from what we can see. As you'll recall, she has the power to turn people into laundry, which is a very abstract power. But her being here leads to some potential things because there's a very easy to miss character appearance in this flashback, and I don't know if we're gonna get to it today because we're gonna end pretty soon here. But like Law is taking the man. So as I recall, Corazon didn't know that Virgo was the person he was meeting with, and he's going to pass on the message that Doflamingo is trying to get the op fruit and trying to get Doflamingo to get caught. So, but the person he's meeting with is none other than Virgo, and it is just the worst turn of fate. Because it leads to like Virgo beats the shit out of Corazon. His fruit is not very offensive. He gets away, and we start rearing up to the very sad finale of this flashback with a Corazon smile. If you ever look back on your memories of me, I want you to remember my smile.
God damn.
We could end here. I think we actually have to. I might not have.
Before we start the other flashback and whatnot.
But there is some more to this flashback, but we will talk about it next time. I think we made great progress. Actually, we're getting close to where Bradley is, I believe.
God damn.
And like we're way over halfway through the arc now. So
yeah, we're about to hit the climax of this arc.
Yeah, we hit the climax, and you get the individual fights, and then the climax fight pretty much right after this flashback, which is really
the main title bout we've all been coming here for.
Also, dying with a smile on your face is an interesting concept because I feel like Roger did it. Luffy was going to do it in Lowtown. Ace did it. He died with a smile on his face. So like maybe the D means smile. Like maybe the D is not a letter, but the symbol for a smile.
Sideways.
Yeah. It's a Japanese pun. We wouldn't get it.
I mean, I know that a smile looks like a D. I don't know if that's like that. That's serious. I'm like that's not a joke. I think the D could very well be a sideways smile, and it was never a letter to begin with.
It's not impossible.
That feels like something Oda could pull, but we'll have to find that out in 5 years, not today.
Yes.
And that's that. Catch us in the future for more Dressrosa. Maybe next time. We might actually finish the arc next time, potentially, which would be exciting.
Cool.
Hey.